right? Because he's a capital market player.
Correct.
And Ramdev, of course, mentioned that, so he said that, oh, my son is working, so that is fine. But the point was that he mentioned about how a lot of these family offices or family people who are selling off their businesses or keeping a part of 2-3% of the business value into setting up a family offices is ensuring that there is capital for hordes of startup entrepreneurs who got fabulous business ideas.
Yeah.
And that's happening in hinterland, in tier 2, tier 3 towns, and not just necessarily in the metros. In fact, he decried metro. He said South Bombay mein to sirf NBFC milega. You have to go to Rajkot and Surat to hunt for true businesses.
Yeah, and that waterfall effect is what we're beginning to see in your unlisted space as well, where you can't even call them just startups right now, huge businesses which are flourishing at a huge phase. All right, so healthy ecosystem. Let's listen in to one of the comments that Ramdev Agarwal is making. I think here he is talking about where he sees oil and the rupee going.
The world is awash with oil, and Saudi Arabia is saying, before America produces any more shale, I will flood the market and keep the price at 65, because beyond 65 shale comes in action. So my sense is we have a situation for a few years at least. I think we will get $65-70 oil right now because of the tension. That's okay, but I think despite this tension, it is only 78. So if this theory works out, that we are stuck at $65-70 of oil, I think it will be very anti-inflationary. Rupee will remain very, very stable, and our current account deficit will also be well under control. So all sorts of problems will be sorted for this country. What happens is that the moment war mongering goes down, I think the procurement also takes a slowdown, and that is not great thing for developing private sector defense. This thing, what you call supply system, right. Because those companies, they have access private capital. They want very visible order and smooth flow of orders and all. So some company, I know last year a company made 50 crores profit out of this thing. He says, sir, I have put a lot of tenders, but I'm not sure whether the tender will come this year and I'll be able to sell this year. Okay. It might spill over to next year. So then 1 year on, 1 year off, then next year will be very big, That is the biggest challenge for assessing value of a company.
Okay, so that's the take coming in. I want to also have a quick view, Kunal, with you with regard to the auto index. That's the one which has particularly stood out, at least last couple of days, and even today. Some of the larger names in auto seem to be showing remarkable resilience. Of course, it's a day when markets are doing well in any case, but there's been some bit of outperformance in that pocket. Give us some perspective. What do you make of something like an M&M, a Hyundai? I know maybe limited chart on a Hyundai, but M&M, Maruti, Hyundai, and the like.
I think definitely auto is one sector which have been a massive underperformer, and right now we are seeing some buying momentum which is coming back. In fact, the auto index in today's trading session has broken out of a consolidation, and the 20 DMA has been taken out decisively. So 23,680 is where the auto index is trading. We expect this to go towards the mark of 24,200, which is the first resistance zone. And post that, if we are able to sustain that, then the next level comes at 25,500 on the higher end. So we are bullish on auto as a space. And I think there is a technical value buying as well, what we can see in the sector as well. Some of the preferred pick over here from the auto space, which looks attractive to me over here, is Hero Moto. Hero Moto, again, the larger term trend continues to be on the positive side, and we expect the stock to break out above this mark of 4,500. And once that takes place then the next level directly comes at 5,000 on the higher end. I think Hero Moto is one stock which you should keep on your radar for buy side. 4,100 should be a stop loss on the downside.
Okay, that's the story with Hero Moto. I just want to talk a bit about Waaree Energies and what's happening with Waaree Energies. Waaree and Premier, and we spoke to Premier today, and I don't know if you can pull out a bite. So this is an interesting development. There is a draft law which is making its way through the US system. It's in the Senate right now, which talks about cutting off incentives to solar panel makers. But Premier Energies has come on NDTV Profit today and explained that those incentives that are being cut do not extend to the manufacturers, and as a result, a Premier Energies, by extension of Waaree Energies also, will actually get those incentives and continue to get those incentives. It's a big positive for both. And Waaree I'm mentioning because this was the pain point, right? That there's an administration in the United States right now which is not that hot on solar energy. They're going to cut down incentives. Those incentives are not being cut for manufacturers is something that they have come and cleared up. In fact, listen into what Premier Energies is saying. It's also they're also talking about how they are going to reach their 50 gigawatt mark.
If you see our current business as well as the proposed expansion plan to take us to 10 gigawatts of capacity by FY28, that entire plan is predicated entirely on the Indian demand. The good news is that the Indian demand is growing very, very robustly. We're currently at about 25 gigawatts, expected to go to 50 gigawatts in the next 3 to 4 years. So our current business plan is dedicated entirely to the Indian demand. We are looking into exports, very keen to tap into that opportunity, particularly the US, as and when this policy announcement comes. But also, interestingly, Europe is also now taking a lot of steps to localize clean tech manufacturing. And they have announced that they want to have local manufacturing capacity equivalent to 40% of their demand. Now, that itself opens up another potential huge opportunity for us. So as and when there is more clarity on these decisions, we will be very keen to tap into these markets, whether by way of local manufacturing or by way of exporting from India.
So one of the buzzers, Premier, Waaree, and I have to mark out Endurance Tech. Endurance Tech on a roll today because of something called an anti-braking system. This is something that they make. And there is a proposal to make this mandatory in two-wheelers. Let me go across to Puneet, who's first telling us about the anti-braking system.
Well, thank you for that. So definitely it's one of the key safety features in India. Anti-braking system largely now available in 125cc and above. So it's more on the premium vehicle side. The key aspect is the ring that you're looking forward in between the vehicle. That's the anti-braking system. What it does is if you are to come to a very sudden stop, it shouldn't skid. That's what the point of an ABS is, and that hence is available only in premium motorcycles. The key reason why we are telling you this today is because there's a government notification that comes in that could put and mandate ABS in all entry-level motorcycles as well, starting January of 2026. While this could increase the cost by roughly about 3,000 rupees per vehicle for all the entry-level motorcycles, and hence we are seeing a negative impact on stocks like Hero as well as Bajaj Auto and TVS to an extent. The major destruction is coming into the stock price of Hero, but there could be some players like Endurance Tech who could actually positively benefit from this move because they already manufacture the product right here in India. So we're doing a bull versus bear case today on Endurance Tech and how that could be positively impacted from this. That's one of the first bull cases actually of us. Let's move on to the next graphic, show the first bull case, because it's essentially that the implementation of anti-lock braking system from 2026 could drive a really big volume growth for the company at a time where the domestic market is very subdued for automakers as well as auto component makers. On the other side, Endurance could see some competition coming in from global players, as we've seen this before. Whenever there's a new technology, we see the other domestic auto component companies partner and tie up with the global players to get the technology in India. Since it could be a government notification, we could see some speed into that. So that will be one of the key ones to watch out for, but definitely a big bull case here. The second one is, currently the product is already operational for Endurance. They already supplied from all the way up from 100cc to 800cc, where the complication is much higher and the power and the technology needed for the product is much more. So they're already there, could be one of the early movers into this notification. On the other side though, companies like Bosch, ZF Commercial as well as Wapco, which are present in India, also give out this product, but the pricing is much higher compared to something like an Endurance Tech, but the product is definitely available. When you look at the third key aspect is dual channel ABS, which is essentially a more premium product for the ABS. That trial has already started for Endurance, and it could be operational by Q2 of FY26. So they are also developing more premium products within the ABS space. While on the other hand, we are expecting some weak export market outlook in FY26 for the company as well as for other automakers. And that could be the negative pivot in growth from the export market, specifically Europe, where all auto component makers are majorly present right now. Finally, in terms of valuation, trading at 27 times price to earnings, not cheap by any means for an auto or an auto component maker, because we are now in a scenario where the auto component makers are more highly and richly valued compared to the other, essentially the automakers like M&M and Maruti. But the growth is there compared to these guys, and hence we put it into a bull case scenario. The ABS could drive faster growth for the company, while on the other hand, the 75% of the growth is coming from two-wheeler, so it could positively pivot from there. But again, it's a large concentration in a segment that's slowing down. We've seen 14 buy calls from analysts, and that's been sustained, but the return potential is negative because of higher valuation as well. So overall, this could be a big move for Endurance Tech. Watch out for this one going forward, because the growth could come faster and the valuation could become cheaper going forward.
Okay. Thank you for that, Puneet. Puneet, I have a quick follow-up, and maybe this is just out of the blue. What's the impact on the cost structure of a two-wheeler? Because we're seeing some bit of a cool-off in prices of a Bajaj Auto, or rather stock prices of a Bajaj Auto, a Hero, even though TVS seems to be doing well. Any rationality around what's happening there? Because that pocket could get impacted, right, from a cost structure perspective.
Well, definitely, and this is something that we addressed earlier on as well. The number that you're looking for is 3,000 rupees per vehicle. When you look at the impact of that on entry-level bikes, which cost roughly about 55 to 60,000 for a Splendor, the magnitude is much higher. Hence, we could expect some slowdown specifically for Hero MotoCorp, and we've seen the share prices crack today. Some recovery right now, but it was much lower earlier. For Hero, it's 80% of the total volumes, entry-level bikes, while for Bajaj and TVS, it's roughly between 10 to 12%. Hence, the impact there could be limited in terms of this news flow. But the ABS coming in while increasing safety, and it's a government's mandate to increase safety. They put airbags in entry-level cars now. This is a second move specifically here as well, and now they're putting ACs in commercial vehicles as well. So it's a multitude effort across vehicle platforms, but definitely a big move for the consumers as well as vehicle purchasers.
Okay, thank you for that, Puneet. We'll let you go. Neeraj, do you have a view with regard to how this could impact both something like an Endurance? There's also an Ask Automotive, which does this. Me and Puneet were having that conversation earlier today in the newsroom. Any of those names looking interesting to you?
This is definitely a good growth opportunity for them. But then Endurance is not a cheap stock. No, this is true for most of the auto ancillary. We used to really like auto ancillary stocks earlier, like Minda, Minda or the likes. But they're all so expensive now. They are something which everyone is tracking. Investors are already holding on to them, and they've given decent returns. So for someone to get into these stocks now at such high valuation, it gets very difficult to get a return over a medium to long term. So for something like Endurance, this will be an opportunity. So some upside will happen because of this, but I don't see too much of an upside because stock is expensive if you see valuation wise. In fact, if based on this news you get some sell off in something like a Bajaj Auto, which is already down and not done very well over the last couple of quarters, that may be an opportunity because OEMs, based on their historic valuations, are available at a better valuation than what most of the auto ancillaries are.
Kunal, on these two names in particular, given the kind of buzz, and then if I can add some of the other two-wheeler names, because I had your take on M&M, a TVS, a Hero, a Bajaj Auto, an Endurance, an Ask Auto, any that you like, and what do you make of the move that we've seen today?
I think definitely for short-term perspective, TVS Motor looks attractive at the current levels. 2,800 is where it is trading, and we expect this move to continue towards the mark of at least 3,000 in the very short term. So TVS Motor is one stock where your risk reward is favorable. 2,750 is a strong support on the downside. I feel, as we mentioned in the show as well, the Nifty Auto Index looks quite attractive, and that is where the underperformance for the auto index will now be over, and we will see some buying interest coming here towards the mark of 24,000, 24,500 for the entire auto space.
Okay. Okay, we'll have a management shortly, I believe, but just very quickly, want to mark Bharat Electronics and BEML, some sharp moves there. Kunal, in 30 seconds, if you can give me a view on BEL and BEML.
Yeah, I think definitely strong up move for BEL as well. We expect targets of 415 to 420 on the upside, so continue to be on the long side. BEML, today we have seen a fresh breakout in the stock. The resistance for the stock was at 4,500. Now that will act as a strong support on the downside. So any dips towards the support, since the stock is already 8% up, so any dip towards the support of 4,500 would be a buying opportunity. Positionally, you can expect targets of 5,200 for the stock.
Okay. All right. Stay on with us. I'm joined now by Liberatha Kalat, the chairperson and MD of DreamFolks. Liberatha, thank you so much for speaking with us, ma'am, and joining us today. So I want to start with, your elaborating on the exchange filing that has come in yesterday and the statements that have come in regarding newspaper reports on your relationship and conversation with banks. So can we start with that and get that out of the way? What is the clarification?
Good afternoon. So firstly, I just wanted to say that, we are also surprised to actually see such type of news which has come up, because if you have seen that, it's been 15 years for us, we are in this industry when DreamFolks have started, and all these clients which have been mentioned, we have, from the inception, as I initially also said that MasterCard was our first client, and then all these. So more than 10 years of relationship what we have with all these clients. And we have not got any such, notices or any such communications from these clients. And we were also surprised that, from where this news has come up.
So this is an important clarification. So let's start there, because this was a wires copy which came in, which everyone has quoted. So you're saying that this claim that major Indian banks and card networks are moving away is absolutely incorrect. You've had no conversation with anybody on this?
Absolutely, because all these clients have a fund relationship. I mentioned we have not.
I think we are losing, Miss Kalat, I think we are losing your voice. Maybe the range isn't the best. Could you please repeat what you were saying in the...
I was just saying that we have a long-time relationship with clients, and we have an ongoing contract with everybody. We have not received any such communication from any of our clients, and all the programs are successfully running in all the lounges.
Ms. Kalat, just one final point there. I'm guessing the contracts that you enter into would be long-term contracts. So it'd be safe to assume that the contracts that you have with some of your major clients / banks / partners, there is no reason for anybody to see some of these contracts ending over the course of the next 6 to 12 months, right? These would be long-term contracts which will stay.
See, this is an ongoing business which we have with all the clients. And, if we look at the contracts, what we have always mentioned that, it is in a duration of 3 to 5 years. But however, our commercial discussions or our commercial arrangements are yearly, so which are always into discussion. So, I would say that, everything is going on as per the way the business is on, and it's a business as usual for us.
Okay. How is business as usual doing right now? I mean, the belief is that traffic has slowed down. I mean, GMR Airports data that has come out also kind of speaks about that. Has it been, for whatever it's worth, has it been a tough quarter for now, Ms. Kalat, or has it been usual?
So if I have to talk about the numbers, I think you would actually look at our quarter figures and you'll actually get to know about it when we actually announce our first quarter results.
I agree.
But talking about the numbers, I would say that, yes, in terms of, the change in the program structure, because if you have also seen that, the banks have actually now started giving this benefit on a spend base, which used to be a blanket offer or offer which was there for everyone, which has now converted to a spend-based program. Yes, because of that, the volumes have reduced. However, in DreamFolks, if you actually look at it, the way we have structured our program now, it's not that the dependency of the business is only on the lounges, but we have also we have started different services. It's not just into travel. We also have lifestyle services in our portfolio. And yes, I would say that, the other services have also started contributing. Last year, we had almost around 8 to 9% contribution from these services. And we see that, these services are also largely growing now. And potentially in a couple of years, we'll see that, the volumes coming from this. But yes, to your point, the traffic has slowed down, but it is nothing to do with the business arrangements, what we have with our clients, but it is overall a change in the program.
Ms. Kalat, if you can just tell us about the disruption which took place in September last year. What were the causes though, and have all of those issues been resolved?
So the disruption, if you actually see the way our program is, right, it is more of a tech platform what we have, right, wherein the customers who are going to the lounges, the verification is based on, if the card is eligible or not. So it is more on the technology, and it's more the EDC machine which is placed in the lounges. So there was a downtime, and the disruption was because of the downtime, which was actually for a longer period. And we have also communicated this to everyone, and I think that we also had given a press release for that. So it was nothing to do with any other business arrangements, but it was purely a technical error which happened that time.
Okay. And just, in terms of broader strategy, does the focus remain on the lounge business? How are you planning to scale up non-lounge? And is that in the anvil at all?
So lounges obviously is going to be the major part of the business because that's how DreamFolks all started. But in terms of, the focus, I would say that, yes, it is not limited only to the India market anymore. We have already grown into 100 plus countries. In terms of the other services, if you look at it, it's not just limiting to travel again, because we did start from the airports. Now we are at the railways. We have started highways. In lifestyle, we have golf. Now we are also, if you have seen the latest news, what we have actually given out is we are introducing social club and also coffee in the mall. So these are the new services which we have started. Secondly, in terms of even the client base, the focus is not just limiting to banks or the network providers, but we also have enterprises now. And if you actually have heard our last earnings calls, we have also mentioned that, we have 30 plus enterprises who have been onboarded with us. So the focus is not just going to be limited to the financial institute, but it's going to be more with enterprises, OTAs, the travel industry. And as I mentioned, in terms of the services, it's not just going to be the travel, but yes, it's going to be more on the lifestyle services as well.
Okay, ma'am, this is Harsh also joining in. So therefore, how should FY26 in particular look for you? What's the outlook like in terms of both top line growth as well as margins? And margins, I ask you for FY26, but also in the medium term, as some of these new businesses ramp up, where do you see that margin number go?
So for now, as we have already forecasted and we have given our statement that, we would be growing by, our top line would grow by 20% year on year. And I would say that in terms of our margin, yes, there would be a margin improvement in next, 2 to 3 years. And the margin improvement will also be, through our other services which are going to grow.
How much would that be, ma'am? Would it be 200 bips or more than that? Just trying to understand
so
whether it will hit double digits.
Yeah. So if I have to talk about the other services, I would say that in the next 4 to 5 years, the other service contribution would be nearly around 40 to 45%.
Okay, and the margins, would that take your overall margins to double digits?
So right now also our margins are between 11 to 13%, the gross margin what we are talking about.
Right.
And I would say that yes, it would increase to between 14 to 15%.
Ms. Kalat,
in the next 4 to 5 years.
all right, Ms. Kalat, one final word, and I'm just coming back to my previous question. What I meant to ask was not if there is a loss of traffic because of disruptions in your business. What I meant to ask was, it does seem that because of all that's happened in India as well, in terms of Operation Sindoor and otherwise, the traffic numbers for airports have come off. Is it showing in your business as well? The general slowdown in traffic at airports and flights, is it showing in your business as well?
So if you actually look at the recent incidents which have been happening, it's not about, the latest thing which happened at the border, as well as the last week incident which has happened. Yes, I would say that has impacted the overall traffic at the airport. So yes, it has slightly slowed down, but I would say that eventually it's also a seasonal thing. So even if we have to compare with our last year forecast during this time, so this is a time when the traffic is significantly lower.
Okay, Ms. Kalat, wish you all the best. Thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us today.
Thank you.
All right, that's the view from DreamFolks. Neeraj Diwan, you heard them categorically saying that none of the banks, etc., are moving away, but the business would have slowed down. But this business has now had a few, episodes. Are you constructive because of the levels that it has fallen to, or you don't track it?
No, actually, apologies, I don't track this.
Completely fine. Kunal, very quickly, a word on DreamFolks on the charts.
If on the charts, I think the structure looks already very weak. So we have seen correction from the higher levels, and now the next support for the stock on the downside is 220. And if that is also taken out, then we will see further downside towards 195 or 190 zone. So overall, it's a sell on rise stock. Whatever bounces you get in the stock, that would be an exit opportunity.
Okay, let's quickly get your BTST ideas, Kunal. It's a weekend, so before now anything can happen even in 12 hours. But nevertheless, your BTST calls for Monday.
See, I think the BTST call which I would like to go over here is Jio Finance. Already the stock has given us a breakout in today's trading session. Plus, there is a reversal as well what we have got. So we expect this momentum to continue on Monday's trading session. So one can go long on Jio Finance, keeping a stop loss of 289 and looking for targets of 300 on the upside.
Okay, so Jio Finance in focus. Neeraj, is there something that you're tracking? Jio Finance, one of the top gainers on the Nifty today as well?
Yeah, I think Jio Finance should be looked at. The kind of momentum that you've seen for the news flow, they are going to come into business. There's mutual fund, finance, everywhere. There should be good growth going ahead for them. So I think now is the time where things should start picking up business-wise also. So I think for a little longer term, medium to long term investor, I think can look at this stock.
Okay, apparels is another space we need to look at, and very quickly before we close up for the day and the week, HSBC has an interesting note on apparels. Trent, Vishal Mega Mart and Page Industries is on their radar. Mahima, what are they saying?
Right, so for Trent, they've initiated a buy with a target price of 6,700. What they're saying is that Trent has scalability as well as all-round superiority, but they see a little competition risk playing its part, and hence, overall target price that they've given is around 6,700. For Vishal Mega Mart, they've initiated a hold with a target price of 138. What they're saying is that it's one of the best in class in terms of value retail, but they've given a hold because valuations look expensive right now for something like a Vishal Mega Mart. For Page Industries, they've initiated a reduced rating with a target price of 41450, and they're saying that Page Industries lacks incremental growth drivers, plus it is set to grow at a 10% CAGR, which they're not liking. They're targeting a multiple of 50 times PE versus that of 59 times for its 10-year average PE. What they're saying is that in the overall apparel space, there are pockets which have opportunity of growth, plus growth outlook remains stable, but the overall industry is facing channel distribution as well as rising competition, and plus there are changing fashion cycles which may hamper the growth of these companies, but they prefer format driven companies over brand driven companies, and that is why they're liking Trent in this space. Lastly, they're also liking companies that are focusing on private labels due to better inventory control, and again Trent is the best example for this one, which is why they remain bullish on something like a Trent as well as something like a Vishal Mega Mart as well. So this is the overall view as to what HSBC is saying about the entire industry.
So So Trent in focus as well. So where's HAL? I just want to get a quick view, Kunal, from you on HAL if you have one, because look at the kind of buzz that we are seeing on HAL, and this is essentially media reports that have come in on a big focus for it. They have won a bid to make India's small satellite launch rockets privately. It will be the first Indian company to receive the complete technology to build a rocket from ISRO. They expected to build the first two SSLVs with ISRO's assistance, and the order value is expected to be 500 crores. So admittedly, in the size of order values that you see in the space, 500 crores, not a small amount, but not the largest either, and it's a new technology. But on the charts, how are you liking HAL, Kunal?
On the charts, you can see that the stock in the last 10 to 15 trading sessions have been consolidating in a very narrow range. Overall buying interest is visible from the lower levels. So if anybody is holding already long, keep a stop loss of 4,800 on the downside. If that is taken out, then exit long. Even if you want to have fresh entry, one can enter at the current levels. Again, keeping a stop loss of 4,800 on the downside. One can look for targets of 5,100 to 5,300 on the higher end.
Okay. Well, 1.48% higher, and defense is strong, as a lot of people have told us too. Vari is okay. There's some news flashes. I think the defense minister from Israel must be saying this, that the strikes on nuclear facilities and scientists must continue. I presume from the nature of the flash that may not be clear, but okay. We've now heard some 2 or 3 news prints that are floating around, which are talking about how for now this may continue from both sides, so keep that in mind. But Vari Energies is rock solid today, independent of everything happening, up about 9% in trade. Okay, is there a trade here, Kunal? Let's just first get that out of the way.
See, for Vari Engineering, definitely there seems to be a bull case out here. The stock, the move has been very strong, and the stock has taken out the 20 DMA. So we can expect this move to continue towards the mark of 3,200 to 3,300 on the higher end.
Dheeraj Diwan, are you a buyer into Vari or any of these other energy transition names?
Actually, Vari not after the run-up today, but definitely when it had corrected to the level at 2,600, that looked like a decent buy, because I think looking at the growth, that potential that they have, and the kind of growth they've already been showing, and the capacity that they have, I think the stock has more legs from here. But then it's already run up today, so there's no point chasing it. You should look at opportunities whenever you get, when you get some correction in these stocks.
Okay. All right. I wonder, Kunal, what do you make of the move on the index? Of course, 12% up on Vari, also a serious move. But the index is up now, what, 1.3% odd? We're at or very close to the day's high.
I think definitely what we spoke on the start of the show, that we expect the index to go towards 25,500, 25,700 levels on the upside. So that is a short-term target for the indices. Now 24,800 will act as a very strong support on the downside. And for the Bank Nifty index, we are expecting 57,000 on the higher end. 55,800 will now act as a very strong support. So for both the indices, the view remains bullish. For Nifty, 25,500, the first target is what we are expecting, and for Bank Nifty, first will be 56,500, and post that, if it sustains above that, then we can see 57,000 on the higher end.
Seeing some serious moves on a Trent as well. So Kunal, rationalize that for us. 4% high on a Trent. Let's pull up the intraday and you'll see what I'm suggesting. Look at that move by Trent. This is a Nifty 50 counter and the stock has flown. Kunal.
See, I think definitely a very strong up move. We are already bullish on the stock. Structure looks extremely bullish, and we can expect this move to continue towards the mark of 6,200 on the higher end.
Wow, serious move there for sure. And for a stock, by the way, it's not just Trent, Vishal Mega Mart.
Yes.
That's the other one, which has had a sharp move in the last few minutes. So seems like some retail names, Avenue Supermarts can't have such a move, I'm sure. But never know, it might happen too. Hitachi Energy is the third one, has gained over 5% from the day's low of 18,000. So some stocks, as the market crosses 25,100, are really flying around. Ipca Labs, another one which is actually gained. So a lot of stocks moving around. Kunal, you want to change your BTSC idea? Because there are some which are really moving up. Maybe your stock has also hit the target, who knows?
Yeah, see, I think definitely Geo Finance, so one stock which was given from our end, and the next stock which looks attractive to me is Bharti Exa. That looks very strong on the chart. 1843 is where it is trading, and one can expect this move to continue towards 1900.
Okay, I mean, Bharti exam, oh my God, that's 5% too. What's happening in this market? It's as if there is no conflict going on currently in the Middle East. The Indian markets are in a momentum of their own, as they say, a force of nature.
Force of nature, and how? Kunal, you want to revisit your Nifty call? 25,100. Already crossed and zooming. I mean, there's just some booster shot which has come in the last few minutes. I'm going to be very excited to see the fund flows data which comes out. But okay, Kunal, Nifty call, you want to renew?
Yeah, so I think my target remains intact. 25,500, 25,700 is what I'm expecting for Nifty in the coming days. And for the Bank Nifty, as I said, all-time high 57,000 is what I'm expecting for Bank Nifty. So I think both the consolidation on the index is over. We are ready for the up move towards the new highs for both the Nifty and the Bank Nifty indices.
Very quickly, just want to mark before I toss it over to Ash. By the way, Kunal and Neeraj, thank you so much for joining in. Really appreciate your time, guys. Have a great weekend with the markets the way they have done. Almost everybody would have that, but just want to mark, just shows the resilience, a space which has spoken about weak numbers. Voltas is up in trade today. So remarkable moves in a lot of stocks. Harsh, this wouldn't have been anticipated.
Yeah, I believe so, and that's at least not what we anticipated when we started the show. Let's look at the Nifty 50 now. Around a minute or so for close for the day as well as for the week. 1.3% higher, holding on somehow to 25,100 at least at this point, but nobody's complaining about that. Let's pull up the intraday chart on the Nifty as well. Look at the Nifty Bank, 1.25 as well, so matching the Nifty, and you can see that spike. That's what we're currently seeing. Hopefully that sustains. We've just slipped below the 25,100 mark at this point, but still playing out very, very well intraday. Let's look at the breadth as well, the heat map, and that'll reflect the breadth on the Nifty 50 index. Look at the strength of the move. 42 stocks advancing. Some of the heavyweights really packing a punch. I can see HDFC Bank at the start of that second row over there, 1.5% higher. Reliance Industries is up 2%. Trent is up 4%. So the move is quite secular and quite sharp. Just a couple of pockets where things are not going as well. It's the two-wheeler pack which is languishing a little bit, 1% plus lower in a market like this. But outside of that, pretty much the move is extremely solid. Let's look at sectors as well, and I'll quickly zoom into a couple of them which are doing really well, but we've closed for the day. 1.9% on realty, 1.9% on defense. So within that broader market space, those are the two sectors which are doing well. A BEML, a BEL are some of the ones which have really stood out in trade today. A Nifty PSU Bank has also done well. Likely it's a little bit also to do with the RBI norms and that dilution which has come through far earlier than anticipated. What has underperformed in this market is an FMCG, consumer durables, IT is the other one which has underperformed, and pharma is the one which has underperformed. Let's look at the advanced decline, because the breadth, of course, the green on your screen is sharp, but the breadth not as sharp, because we're seeing around 600 odd declines even in a market like this. So the broader markets, mind you, haven't fared as well likely. 1% up nonetheless on the Nifty mid cap. The Nifty small cap index is up 0.7 odd percent. Mind you, the Nifty small cap has seen a bit of outperformance, and therefore that 0.7% higher at close today. So we've played that out. Let's look at it through the week as well, and let's pull up the Nifty. How has that one done through the week? Thereafter, the Nifty mid cap, small cap, Bank Nifty, and also the Nifty India Defense. 1.5% higher on the Nifty 50. That's the week for you, and 1.25 today. The Nifty mid cap is actually down 0.7%. So there's been a sharp outperformance that we've seen from the larger cap space. The small cap index is down 1.8% for the week gone by. So despite the kind of move that we've seen today, we've closed the week lower. This is the Nifty India Defense, which is just 0.6% higher despite the move that we've seen today, 1.9% higher. I want the Nifty IT and the Nifty Bank just to cap this off. And there you go, 1.5% this week on the Nifty IT. There's been plenty of movement there, and the Nifty Bank 1.3% higher. So that's how we've closed the week. In fact, let's look at the BSE 500 top gainers, top losers, and then we look at Qs. We've seen Endurance Tech, we spoke about that. Mr. Dhatu within the defense pack, Cochin Ship, some names within that defense pack. JB Chemicals is silently up 6% as well today. Alkylamines as well is up around 5% odd. Those are some big losers for you. So it's a market where we've seen quite a few big movers on a day like this. Last off, on to what to watch out for come Monday, because it will be a day where there will be some focus on macros. BOE, which is Bank of England interest rate decision, Japan inflation, China loan rates, not much of an impact there, and India forex reserves. That's the other thing to watch out for. Let's also look at any adjustments that would need to be made. Those are dividend adjustments for you. HUL, 24 rupees of dividend to be adjusted for on Monday, and those are some more dividend adjustments coming your way. There's also a bonus issue, VMart Retail, so you'll see that big adjustment coming into the stock price. And there are these stocks where anchor lock-in expires, which you'll want to keep your eye out on. But completely out of time on this edition of India Market Close. From Tamanna, Neeraj, myself, everyone who puts the show together, thanks so much for watching. More on the other side. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit.
You got into IIM and said, no, I'm going to open my own store, my own business instead.
The day I decided to not take up some of those MBA schools, I remember my mother cried. That was a stupid decision. But when stupid decisions work out, you seem like a genius.
Tell me what the starting point is. The brand is now 12 years, started by a group of friends.
We were pretty bored of our jobs. In India, there was nobody selling official licensed merchandise. You had to go to some very expensive shop where it was imported from the US, or you had to go to Fashion Street where it was 200-300 rupees.
The licensing part is where I would say that you spotted the opportunity. Why do you think nobody else has done it?
Because industry is run by a lot of old people and they probably don't understand the opportunity sitting on it.
Why the name Sold Store?
When we were starting out, we were deciding follow our passion and follow our soul.
What's your favorite action figure or show that prompted you to start Soul Store?
Lord of the Rings.
Someone who's watching and bored of their job, how do you know whether you have it in you or not?
How desperately do you hate your job?
Sources in ED seeking explanation on Yuvraj Singh, Harbhajan Singh on why they are endorsing such platforms which are banned by Government of India, and the mule account and Benami transaction, the kind of promotional payout being given to some of the media houses, the ad rates are between 50 crore to 100 crore.
What happens in reality is that under the garb of skill-based game, they end up promoting gambling only.
27,000 crore is what the tax evasion, the top popular betting apps are actually evading. Between January and March alone, they have seen 1.6 billion of traction.
Hello and welcome. Good afternoon. You're watching Market Express and I'm your host Malika Mishra. Let's dive straight into the show. Beginning with Friday cheer found its way to Dalal Street with the Nifty managing to reclaim the 25,000 mark and the Sensex rising a whopping 1,000 points. So overall, the markets ended the week on a strong note. A sea of green on B Street with all sectors ending in green. Nifty, Realty and Defence end as top sectoral gainers, followed by PSU banks and consumption. Now, before we get you some more details on the sectors, stocks and commodities that were buzzing in trade, let's get you some comments from an important interview with a market hunk. He thinks that markets seem reasonably priced with a 5-year view. He also says that patience is the biggest friend for a long-term investor and sees oil prices trading near $65 in the next few years. Stay tuned for key takeaways from the interview through the day. Oil prices fell but remained on course for a third consecutive weekly rise after the White House delayed a decision on US involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict. Brent crude futures fell around 2%. They were still set to gain nearly 4% on the week. And gold prices dropped 0.8% to $3,333.99 an ounce on Friday, heading for a weekly decline of 2.5%. A stronger US dollar and expectations of fewer Federal Reserve rate cuts weigh on gold despite rising Middle East geopolitical risks. Traders remain cautious amid uncertainty over possible US involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict. The Reserve Bank of India has introduced harmonized norms for project financing across banks and NBFCs effective from October 1st, 2025. And the amines stocks were abuzz today as Director General of Trade Remedies has now announced that acetonitrile, a key product of alkyl amines and Balaji amines, will face an anti-dumping duty. HDFC Bank-backed HDB Financial launches its IPO between the 25th and 27th of June with a price band of 700 to 740 rupees per share. The IPO aims to raise 12,500 crore rupees, including a 2,500 crore fresh issue and a 10,000 crore offer for sale by HDFC Bank. At the upper price band, the company's valuation stands near 61,000 crore with a PE ratio of 27.1, above the industry average, which is now the IPO is India's largest NBFC offering in 2025 and meets RBI's listing mandate for large NBFCs. Dayanidhi Maran sends a legal notice to his brother Kalanidhi, accusing him of fraudulent share allotment in Sun TV. Now, this was allegedly done after their father's death in 2003. The notice alleges shares were transferred to their mother without proper documents. This enabled Kalanidhi Maran to gain majority control by issuing himself undervalued shares. Now, Dayanidhi demands restoration of the original shareholding and warns of legal action. Sun TV denies the dispute, calling it a family matter. Hindustan Aeronautics wins the bid to manufacture India's small satellite launch vehicle. Now, this marks a major shift towards privatizing space launches. HAL applying Solo beats out contenders like Alpha Design and Bharat Dynamics. ISRO transfers the complete SSLV technology to HAL, empowering it to build, market and launch rockets for commercial use. Major banks and card networks are reportedly reassessing their partnerships with DreamFolks. Some are exploring direct arrangements for airport lounge access that bypass the aggregators. The company is also facing financial challenges, including declining net cash flows and rising lease liabilities. Now, these developments may impact its current business model and future operations. Morgan Stanley is bullish on India's banking sector, banking the high five private banks, ICICI, Kotak, AU Small Finance, HDFC and Axis Bank as key drivers of growth. Despite a challenging next 2 quarters, the brokerage sees FY27 bringing multiple positives. It expects the strong banks to re-rate significantly. Meanwhile, Citi highlights that RBI's recent easing of project finance norms may help banks cut provisioning requirements to as low as 0.4%. Bernstein adds that these regulatory changes combined with rate cuts and improved liquidity will boost lending. Public sector banks and NBFCs like PSC and REC are expected to benefit from this. Overall, the outlook for banks and NBFCs looks promising. Citi has reaffirmed its buy rating on Swiggy, maintaining a target price of 425 rupees. The brokerage notes a recent easing in competitive spending within the quick commerce space, but said that it's too early to call it a lasting trend. Marketing expenses in this segment are expected to stabilize, with Swiggy likely shifting focus towards growing monthly transacting users. On the food delivery front, Citi anticipates margin expansion driven by operating leverage, ad monetization, and improved efficiencies. Nestle India's board is set to meet on June 26, 2025 to consider and potentially approve the company's first ever bonus share issue subject to necessary approvals. This historic move comes after nearly 3 decades since its last bonus issue in 1996. Ahead of the meeting, the trading window will remain closed from June 19th to June 28th, and the proposal aims to reward shareholders following a period of robust financial performance, marking a significant development for the FMCG giant and its investors. Your daily brew could soon cost you less. Coffee prices are falling sharply thanks to strong harvests in Brazil and Vietnam, easing global supply pressures. Now, while this benefits companies like Tata Consumer and Nestle, potential threats like EU regulations and erratic weather could limit how long this dip would last. GMM Pfaudler's wholly owned subsidiary, German subsidiary in fact, Pfaudler Normax Systems GmbH, has secured a 330 crore contract with a European-based customer for the design, engineering and supply of complete acid recovery equipment and systems. Now, the 4-year contract involves delivering end-to-end solutions for acid recovery, supporting industries with advanced corrosion-resistant technologies. This order marks a significant contribution to GMM Pfaudler's revenue and highlights its expertise in providing specialized process equipment globally, particularly for chemical and defense sectors. Brigade Enterprises' co-working arm, Buzzworks, has signed a lease agreement with Info India. Now, this pact is signed for 24,000 square feet of workspace at Oro Orbit in Hyderabad's high-tech city, and this deal strengthens Buzzworks' presence in Hyderabad as the company aims to expand its managed workspace portfolio. Brigade Enterprises plans to achieve a milestone of 1 million square feet of managed workspace by the end of FY26. It aims to capitalize on the growing demand for flexible office solutions in India's key tech hubs. Keynes Technology India has launched a qualified institutional placement of 1,600 crore rupees. The company aims to raise funds for debt repayment, working capital, inorganic growth and general corporate purposes. The QIP price is set with a SEBI floor price of 5,625.75 rupees per share, with an indicative range between 5,344.5 and 5,612 rupees. Now, this represents a discount of up to 4.8% to the floor price. The equity dilution from this issue is expected to be between 4.45% and 4.67% of the pre-issue outstanding capital. Keynes aims to use the proceeds from this to support its ambitious revenue target of $1 billion by FY28, fueling capacity expansion and global growth plan. ITT Cementation has secured 2 new contracts worth a combined 960 crore rupees. The first contract involves project work at Trivandrum Airport, while the second is for the construction of a multi-story building in Kolkata. With FY25 revenue of 9,100 crore rupees and margins at 10%, ITT Cementation continues to strengthen its order book. Uno Minda is set to invest 210 crore rupees to set up a greenfield aluminium die casting facility in Maharashtra's Sambhaji Nagar. Now, this new plant will cater to the rising demand for casting components in electric vehicles, supporting both 2- and 4-wheelers. The investment will be deployed in phases over the next 5 years. Phase 1 is expected to start commercial operations by the second quarter of FY27. Strategically located near its upcoming EV powertrain plant and key OEMs, the facility will also strengthen Uno Minda's backward integration in the EV segment. The project will be funded through a mix of internal accruals and term loans. Natco Pharma's Hyderabad manufacturing plant in Kothur was inspected by the US FDA from the 9th to the 19th of June. Following the inspection, the US FDA issued a Form 483 with 7 observations citing potential violations of regulatory standards. Natco Pharma has expressed confidence in addressing all these observations within the stipulated timeline. The Transport Ministry plans to make anti-lock braking systems ABS mandatory for all two-wheelers starting 1st of January 2026, including those under 125cc. Now, the proposal also includes compulsory purchase of 2 BIS certified helmets at the time of sale. Entry-level bikes, which make up 76% of the market, will see a cost increase of around 3,000 rupees per unit. Hero MotoCorp, with over 80% of its sales from entry-level models, is likely to be the most affected. The TV industry is facing a quiet storm as rare earth magnet restrictions threaten speaker production. The stock is expected to last for only 2 more months. Brands like Samsung, Sony and Dixon brace for supply issues potentially affecting both output and sound performance. Manufacturers are racing to shift to ferrite magnets, though these fall short in efficiency. The curbs cast a long shadow on smart TV availability and quality in the near term. Japan's core inflation rose to 3.7% in May, its highest level in over 2 years, fueled by surging food prices. Rice costs have doubled and chocolate is up 27% year on year. This marks the 39th month inflation has stayed above the Bank of Japan's 2% target. Even excluding volatile items, core inflation is still sticky at 3.3%, keeping pressure on the central bank to consider another rate hike. China keeps its 1-year loan prime rate at 3% and 5-year rate at 3.5% following a 10 basis point cut in May. The move comes as a trade deal with the US eases growth concerns, reducing the need for immediate stimulus. Now, the rates influence most corporate loans and mortgages in China. Authorities aim to support steady economic recovery amid global uncertainties, and that's the story. An advisor to EU's top court recommends rejecting Google's appeal against a 4.1 billion euros antitrust fine for abusing its Android dominance. The fine stems from a 2018 EU ruling that Google blocked rivals by forcing pre-installation of its apps on Android devices. The advisor calls Google's legal arguments ineffective and says comparing Google to a hypothetical competitor is unrealistic. The court's final decision is pending, but the opinion signals a major setback for Google's challenge. Canada announces it will adjust counter tariffs on US steel and aluminium imports on July 21st based on progress in trade talks with President Trump. The move follows Trump's increase of US tariffs on these metals to 50%, which threatens Canadian exports. Canada introduces tariff rate quotas to protect its domestic steel market and signals readiness to raise tariffs if no trade deal is reached within 30 days. Prime Minister Mark Carney emphasizes the need to stabilize trade relations and protect Canadian workers amid ongoing negotiations. India is aiming for 100 gigawatt nuclear capacity by 2047. Private players like Adani, Larsen & Toubro and Reliance are expected to join the effort. Currently, India has about 8.8 gigawatt installed and 15 gigawatt under construction. Nuclear projects cost more than coal or solar, prompting calls for government incentives like viability gap funding and long-term PPAs. Recent tenders show growing private interest, signaling a major shift in India's nuclear energy landscape. Telegram billionaire founder and chief executive officer Pavel Durov plans to leave his vast fortune to the more than 100 children he's fathered, according to an interview with France's Le Point magazine. Durov said he is the official father of 6 children with 3 different partners. He also started sperm donation 15 years ago and said more than 100 babies had been conceived that way. He doesn't want his kids to touch his fortune, for 30 years. He's worth about $13.9 billion according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Oswald Pumps makes a solid stock market debut, listing at a 3.26% premium over its IPO price. The company's leadership is upbeat about the future, with Chairman and MD Vivek Gupta expressing strong confidence in achieving high growth in FY26 and FY27. He highlights the company's focus on solar pumps, calling them a highly skilled product and a key pillar of their innovation-led growth strategy. Accenture is set to report Q3 FY25 results today. Jefferies expects the firm to narrow its full-year guidance while retaining its outlook range. Weakness in Latin America and lower government spending remain key drags. However, steady demand from BFSI, healthcare and products may offer some support. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated development projects worth approximately 5,700 crore in Bihar. Speaking at an event in Siwan, he also laid the foundation stone for 32 major infrastructure projects spanning water, rail and power sectors. Among them are 22 urban development schemes aimed at transforming Siwan and its surrounding areas. The Prime Minister emphasized Bihar's pivotal role in national growth, stating that Bihar will prosper and will also play a big role in the prosperity of the country. The Bombay High Court has raised strong concerns over the alarming number of fatalities on Mumbai's suburban rail network, highlighting an average of 10 deaths each day. During the hearing of a public interest litigation on commuter safety, the bench urged Central Railways to explore installing automatic closed doors in local trains to help curb such tragedies. The court referenced the June 9th incident near Mumbra in Thane district, where 13 passengers reportedly fell from a moving train. The mishap claimed 4 lives and left 9 others injured. Several areas in Gujarat and Maharashtra are facing flood-like conditions following continuous heavy rainfall over the past 24 hours. The India Meteorological Department has issued warnings for ongoing rain across large parts of the country. Alerts are in effect from June 20th to 25 for multiple northern and central states, with authorities closely monitoring the situation in vulnerable regions. The IMD has issued an update on the progress of the southwest monsoon. Conditions are becoming favorable for its advance over Haryana and Delhi. Within the next 2 days, the monsoon has already reached the remaining areas of Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and sections of Ladakh. In the next 2 days, the monsoon is expected to cover more areas, including the North Arabian Sea and parts of Rajasthan. Delivery has launched its on-demand intra-city shipping service called Delivery Direct in Delhi NCR and Bengaluru. The company earlier tested the service in Ahmedabad. The app allows users to book local deliveries with pickups in 15 minutes. Deliveries are made using 2-wheelers for parcels and 3 or 4-wheelers for larger consignments. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh will visit China next week for a 2-day meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The gathering is expected to bring together defense ministers from all 10 SCO member nations, including China, Russia, India, and Pakistan. The SCO focuses on regional security, counter-terrorism, and connectivity among member states. Several Air India flights face cancellation today due to ongoing aircraft maintenance and poor weather. Major routes to destinations like Dubai, Delhi, Chennai, Melbourne and Hyderabad are affected. This disruption follows heightened safety inspections of Boeing 787 and 777 aircraft after a recent fatal crash. The airline provides full refunds and rebooking support for impacted passengers, urging patience as it prioritizes safety and works to normalize operations. And with that, it's a wrap on Market Express, but do stay tuned to NDTV Profit as we continue to bring you a lot more news and updates.
You got into IIM and said, no, I'm going to open my own store, my own business instead.
The day I decided to not take up some of those MBA schools, I remember my mother cried. That was a stupid decision. But when stupid decisions work out, you seem like a genius.
Tell me what the starting point is. The brand is now 12 years, started by a group of friends.
We were pretty bored of our jobs. In India, there was nobody selling official licensed merchandise. We had to go to some very expensive shop where it was imported from the US, or you had to go to Fashion Street where it was 200-300 rupees.
The licensing part is where I would say that you spotted the opportunity. Why do you think nobody else has done it?
Because industry is run by a lot of old people and they probably don't understand the opportunity sitting on it.
Why the name Soul Store?
When we were starting out, we were deciding follow our passion and follow our soul.
What's your favorite action figure or show that prompted you to start Soul Store?
Lord of the Rings.
Someone who's watching and bored of their job, how do you know whether you have it in you or not?
How desperately do you hate your job?
Sources in ED seeking explanation on Yuvraj Singh, Harbhajan Singh, on why they are endorsing such platforms which are banned by Government of India, and the mule account and Benami transaction, the kind of promotional payout being given to some of the media houses, the ad rates are between 50 crore to 100 crore.
What happens in reality is that under the garb of skill-based game, they end up promoting gambling only.
27,000 crore is what the tax evasion, the top popular betting apps are actually evading. Between January and March alone, they have seen 1.6 billion of traction.
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost last year, for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000 crores, 81% was awarded to the domestic industry. Our intent is to manufacture in India, preferably with design also in India.
I am so
The Nifty 50 and Sensex break free their range-bound movement from the past 3 days. Benchmark indices outperform broader markets. Nifty Auto emerges as the top-performing sector for the week, led by Mahindra & Mahindra and Samvardhana Motherson. The Leelavati Trust slaps 1,000 crore civil defamation lawsuit against HDFC Bank MD Sashidhar Jagdishan, accusing him of false defamatory statements aimed at maligning the trust and its permanent trustee Prashant Mehta. DMK MP Dayanidhi Maran and his brother Kalanidhi Maran face off for control of the family-owned Sun TV network, India's largest listed media organization. Dayanidhi Maran sends a legal notice accusing his brother of a fraudulent scheme to grab control of the company, while Sun TV clarifies and says all acts were carried out legally. Aviation sources tell NDTV Profit that a decision on the black boxes will be taken soon, adding that they could be sent to Lucknow, the US, the UK, or even to Singapore. Meanwhile, Air India cancels 8 flights, including 4 international services, due to enhanced maintenance and operational reasons. The airline says the teams on ground are making alternative arrangements for passengers to fly out to their respective destinations at the earliest. The potential supply disruptions from China's curbs on rare earth magnet exports are not just limited to electric vehicles, as the television industry raises a red flag, with manufacturers warning of an impending shortage of this critical component used in making smart TV speakers. In what is being dubbed as the biggest data breach of all time, 16 billion login details, including passwords, have reportedly been leaked and more are flowing out on a regular basis. The massive password leak was discovered by researchers at Cyber News. Good evening, you're watching Profit 360 on NDTV Profit. I'm Sanjana, and along the next half an hour, we're going to bring you the latest on markets as well as national and international news. So let's dive right into it and have a look at how the markets fared today. Benchmark indices outperformed the broader markets this week, with the Nifty and Sensex both rising above 1.5%. Trent and Mahindra led the gains on the Nifty, while the Nifty Small Cap 250 dropped more than 1.5%, dragged down by AstraZeneca and Valor State. Meanwhile, let's take a look at how the markets fared sector-wise. We saw Nifty Auto, IT, Bank and Financial Services all gaining over 1%, with Nifty Auto emerging as the top performer. Nifty, PSU, Banks and Metal also declined for the second consecutive week. My colleague Harsh now joining in with a wrap of all the market action.
Well, it's such a good day on markets. In fact, the Nifty just went from strength to strength as the day progressed. We breached 25K, we breached 25,100, and we've settled in around there at close. So very good strength, at least on the Nifty. So the heavyweights really chipping in, contributing on a day like this. You had an HDFC, a Reliance, and ICICI, all of which were part of the top contributors on the Nifty index. The losers were far and few as well, and that kind of aided and spurred the index higher as well. You just had about 7 to 8 losers on the index, so you had 42 gainers. Strong breadth that we saw on the index. In terms of the week gone by as well, it was a strong week for the Nifty 50, 1.5% higher on the benchmark. Trent and M&M were the top gainers. Trent gained very well today.